Hey there, I'm Anthony Romano, and I'm going to tell you in this video how long it actually takes to get shredded on a keto diet. Now, in case you don't know my videos, I've been doing keto for 8 years, bodybuilding for almost 10, fasting for almost 10. I coach people with this. I've been doing it myself. I do research, I experiment, I do lots of funky stuff. And I've seen this stuff personally. I'm going to tell you some very quick points to assess how long it might take you to get cut on keto, especially compared to other diets. So, for starters, there are two kinds of diets you could do in anything, for any goal. Ketogenic or non-ketogenic, okay? There's two metabolic states your body can be in, carb metabolism or fat metabolism, okay? There's no way about it. And I often say to people, you never want to go in between those. You never want to be in the gray zone. You either have your carbs or you don't. Because if you keep your body on a carb metabolism and go really low, but without going to keto levels of low, you're going to feel like shit. And if you go very, very low carbs, you'll actually feel better than if you had done 100 carbs a day. Okay, a lot of times people get it twisted because they think there's a linear relationship where, 50 carbs a day has to be harder than 100, and 0 carbs has to be harder than 50. No, 0 carbs a day will be easier than 100, I promise you, because you're allowing your body to switch over metabolically. So that's just a key premise you need to understand here. Now I'll tell you the answer you're looking for. How long does it take to get shredded on keto? The slowest rate of fat loss I've seen with a lot of people is around 2 pounds per week of fat loss. Now, people will say you lose only water weight on keto. This is completely false. You can watch my videos and you can see that I'm always around 10% body fat each year. The only times I really gain weight are if I'm experimenting with, trying, even one of my videos where I tried to get fat actively because I was recovering from an injury and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get fat just to show people that I'll lose 45 pounds in like 3-4 months, and I did it. So if you think keto is only, water weight, it's completely wrong. And if you cumulatively add up the amount of fat I probably lost in my life, it's over like 200 pounds, no doubt, just from bulking, cutting, that type of stuff, or experimenting with dirty bulks, which is horrible. Don't ever do them. But I was younger at those times. Now, how long will it take you to get shredded? For a lot of people, 2 pounds a week is very realistic, and that's a pretty rapid level of fat loss. But it doesn't always show up that way. In fact, the way it shows up is for the first week or two, people will lose a bit extra water weight. That is true. And you might lose 5 pounds the first week and then 2 or 3 pounds the next week. And the water weight loss will be more noticeable in that first week, and you'll think that you've lost more fat, but you still lost like 2 pounds of fat almost. Like, I'm guesstimating based off of, generic examples. So on that note, I have actually seen people lose 10 pounds the first week. I've seen people lose I've seen consistent amounts of people lose 5 pounds the first week and 5 pounds the second week. Okay, I've seen ridiculous numbers because keto allows you to tap into the fat metabolism. It allows you to tap in the state where your body understands, oh shit, there's no carbs here. Okay, we're diving into fat as the primary fuel source, which is another reason why you have to really understand that initial premise I made about going either having your carbs or don't, because your body just wants to know what metabolic state it's dealing with. With a calorie diet, you can still lose body fat, and I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm just saying that it's one half of the coin. I always explain there's two sides of the metabolic coin. You have the quantitative side and the qualitative side. So you have the total quantity of food you're eating, and then you can look at the quality of the food and how likely it is to cause fat storage. Now you might say, it's not about certain foods can make you fat, but that's wrong. That's because the more processed sugar and the higher glycemic response a food has, the more it's going to spike your insulin. Now, everybody's different, has different insulin sensitivities, but insulin is the fat storage hormone. Fat storage cannot occur without insulin. So, of course, eating anything is going to raise your insulin, but you cannot build fat without insulin. It is simply impossible. And the more insulin you have doesn't necessarily mean the more fat you're going to gain. But with a calorie-oriented diet of just saying, you know what, I'm going to eat 1,000 calories less for the next 4 weeks. By lowering your calories by 1,000 each day, you are lowering your insulin by generally 1,000 calories worth, depending on the macronutrient that makes up each food. But every macro is not the same. Every carb is not the same. And the point I'm getting at here is when you do a keto approach, you are proactively deciding that all the food you're eating is not going to spike your insulin dramatically, okay? Unless you're just downing whey protein shakes all day, because those are the only protein source basically that carries a high insulin response. Carbs generally have the biggest insulin response because they raise your sugar, and insulin has to be released to escort the sugar throughout your body and also simultaneously lower that blood sugar so you don't have, it just jacked up blood sugar and mess yourself up. So the thing is, when you have a keto diet, like I said, you're proactively keeping your insulin levels low, and this is going to allow a hormone called glucagon to raise and mobilize fat from your liver. So essentially, you are going to mobilize fatty acids and have them throughout your bloodstream. You're going to break down ketones in your liver and essentially create that fuel source. In the beginning, you will lose more body fat in a ketogenic diet because your body is adapting. If you're new, your body will waste a lot more ketones. And basically, your body's going to make a shitload more ketones than it actually needs because it's new. I doubt this would have happened millions of years ago because basically there were no carbs half of the year, right? Carbs don't grow in the winter. Fruits don't grow in the winter. They don't even really last much longer than 2 weeks, unless you can ship them over from Mexico, like I say. But the point here is, when you are accessing that keto metabolism, in the beginning, your body will actually probably burn even more fat because it's just trying to proactively be like, oh shit guys, we really got to break down the fat here. It's been a long time since we've accessed this keto state. Probably since childhood is the last time you probably accessed keto state. Right, just judging based off most people's lifestyle. And there's nothing wrong with carbs; they're not the devil, but it simply is necessary that you cut them out to do a ketogenic diet. Keto is not high fat. Keto is not low protein necessarily. It's simply that those two variables will amplify how deep ketosis you get in, and keto is created by not eating carbs. Okay, don't let anybody tell you else, because if you stop eating altogether and fast, you are in deep ketosis because you're not eating carbs, and you're also not eating anything else. So your body has no choice but to pull its own fat stores. So let's get back to how long it's going to take you to get shredded. First month, you're going to notice rapid fat loss, unless you start eating a ridiculous amount of calories. So this is where we reconcile the other side of the coin. Remember I said there's quantity and quality, and keto is the quality approach where you're lowering your insulin and not necessarily focusing on the total amount of food you're eating, right? You're focused on the quality of the foods you're eating, the quality of them to spike your insulin. You're not focusing on the total quantity. And as I always say, you need to merge these two sides of the coin. Too many calorie bros on YouTube will say, well, calories are the only thing that matter. But they don't realize that certain foods, if you do a calorie diet with Snickers bars, you're going to feel like shit because your insulin is up all day long. And you're probably not going to lose as much body fat. The same side of the coin goes with if you do a keto diet and you eat 10,000 calories a day, you're obviously not going to lose body fat. However, for a lot of people starting keto, their insulin's going to be lower at 3,000 calories a day than a carb diet would be at 2,000. For a lot of people, that first initial shock, that change is so dramatic from their basic lifestyle that they actually won't even really need to count calories for that first month. So does that make sense? What I'm trying to say to you here is, because the change is such a huge shock to your system, not in a bad way, right? Because that's such a huge shock, your insulin will probably be even lower than a carb diet of less calories. So you can expect loads of fat loss in the beginning. I'd say for most people, 10 pounds is common. Now, keep in mind, I'm generalizing. This is a broad net. 10 pounds the first month is, if you stick to it strictly, right? That's the only requirement here. You can expect around 10 pounds total weight loss. Some of it may be water weight, and some of it will be fat. If you're really restricting your calories, you can expect up to 15 pounds is the most I've seen, unless somebody is overweight. Keep in mind, the more weight you have to lose, that's basically the more fuel your body has. And I've seen people who are of the heavier variety lose way more than people who are already at 12% body fat. Okay, so the lowest I've seen lost in a month was probably around 8 pounds. That's just based off practical experience. And again, individual variances apply. This is meant just to give you some seed of understanding, right? I'm not trying to tell you that you're going to lose 15 pounds the first month, okay? Maybe not even 10 pounds. I'm just telling you that depending on your individual situation, it's rare for me to see somebody lose less than 10 pounds the first month. The second month, you might lose less than 10 pounds, so especially if you only have 20 pounds to lose before you get ripped. But that's the general range, around 2 pounds a week. And keep in mind, 2 pounds a week is fucking massive. That is fast, okay? Especially because you always want to keep in mind, when we're talking pure fat loss, right? Not additional water weight loss, right? Which goes for any diet. You never really want to find yourself in a scenario where you are losing 5 pounds a week. If you're losing 5 pounds a week, right, of pure fat, you are really taxing your metabolism. You are churning up the engine so much that you're going to blow out your thyroid, and you are essentially going to experience a lot of adrenal fatigue and metabolic distress. Okay? That is why no human being has the ability to lose 5 pounds a week without the assistance of drugs, because the human body is not capable of doing it. Your body is a balance machine. Well, it's a survival machine, but it always tries to seek balance, because without balance, you will crash and burn in anything in life. You can apply that example to anything. And the human body is a lot smarter than you think. What it will do is it will never upregulate something so much to the point where it's unsustainable. It will not push things past the point of unsustainability, okay? Take a moment to let that sit in for a second. Your body will not do any function if it is unsustainable. It might push towards that direction, right? But naturally, it won't push things too far, okay? Because if your body started burning 5 pounds a week of pure fat, it could run through all of its resources of fat. And think about this in an evolutionary historical context. If you were in a hunter-gatherer society and you were blowing through your body fat stores that quickly, you wouldn't last long, because you basically use up all your resources within a month. And after that point, you have no body fat left. You're going to die. Your body is trying to be sustainable for the long term, and it's not going to push that much fat burn without the assistance of drugs or careful use of supplements in ways that are not going to mess you up. So, when we're talking about 2 pounds a week, that is a very effective rate of fat loss, because it's a great amount, but it's not going to dysregulate your body to the point where you crash after doing this diet, where your body fat is so lean within a month that your hunger hormones are thrown out of whack and you start eating cheesecakes all day long, okay? Ironically, you probably could eat keto cheesecakes all day long and, just get shredded with a keto diet, or even with a calorie diet, provided that you eventually lower the calories and lower your carbs to the point where you want to gnaw your arm off. But with a keto approach, you don't get that. And that's why you kind of have to marry the two. Because just as in your body, where you're trying to seek balance, your approach has to be balanced in that way. It has to balance the two philosophical sides of the coin, where you're focusing on the quality, but also the quantity in total. Okay? So, how long will it take for you to get shredded? I'd say around 2 pounds a week is a very realistic amount. You can do the math from there. You can say, hey, if I have around 30 pounds, if I'm 200 pounds, right? And you're a regular gym bra, then 2 pounds a week, do the math, 14 weeks, basically, you got 30 pounds-ish, right? And from that point, if you think you have a good amount of muscle on you, then you'll probably be close to 10% body fat. But that's an example, right? Use the basic broad net. If you're a woman, you probably have less total body fat, but you also probably have less total muscle mass. So for 20 pounds, 2 pounds a week, but that's actually generous. I actually expect most people to lose above 2 pounds for the first few weeks. It's just simply a conservative estimate to help you have a measuring stick here. Okay, so 10 pounds is average the first month, provided you keep things strict and you don't quit, or you don't cheat. That is it for this video. How long will it take for you to get shredded? Depending on your body fat, 2 pounds a week is very good. That is it. Thank you. I'm Anthony Romano, and leave me some of your questions. I'll do my best to get back to you. I'm not going to break down how much I think people are going to hit me up with I weigh this, and my waist circumference is that, and I face the North Star every night as I consume my MCT oil. don't hit me up with those comments, please, okay? I won't be able to give you an answer unless I actually get a chance to talk to you. And if you do want to work in that capacity, go to my website and fill out a coaching application. We can see if things can work out. But besides that, I have plenty of other videos that can help you assess your own path, and programs dropping soon. But thank you for watching if you've gotten this far, and I'll try to answer some other, realistic questions that I can figure out by, simply reading. Peace.